Ladies and gentlemen, it is game 3 as HuK's life it hangs by a thread here. HasuObs, the winner of the last TL Open, number 15, managed to take game 1. HuK came back in game number 2, and here we are in the third and final game on Crossfire. And you know what? Whenever I hear this map, Husky, all I can think about is that old game from the 80s. Crossfire, Crossfire, where you shot the ball. Crossfire! We're here.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my follow-up. So I'm glad we are on the same train of thought there. However, we are tied 1-1. This is the second series so far from today's games where it has gone to a third game. I could not be more excited. It is down to the last game. This is going to be the last PvP either of these players have to play before advancing. I don't know what's going to happen here. I do think that overall HuK has shown that he's the better player. But you know what? In game number 1, he made a lot of mistakes. As long as he doesn't make those same mistakes, I think we'll see his macro kick in like we saw last game. He had a huge advantage, just exploding units out of nowhere, gave him a nice advantage, and the timing on that was absolutely perfect. Now, on this map, Crossfire, the rush distances are very long. However, I do still think we will see a 4-gate from at least one player, especially, I'm going to predict from Hasu, just because after that last game, he can't be feeling good, so maybe going to rely on a 4-gate to try and win it. And we do have both players scouting out at similar times, although Hasu's is going to be a little bit earlier, swinging by the watchtower, checking for any proxies or anything like that before going down to the bottom left.
And, of course, HuK is in our blue in the southwest, Hasu in the northeast. And right now we are about in sync with one another. We have Hasu's gateway just a little bit ahead. You see HuK putting down his second pylon right now, right next to that gateway. And yes, both players showed some exceptional play. Both players also showed some vulnerabilities in their play. So at this point, it is like wiping the slate clean. We got a clean chalkboard now. It's time for teacher to go to town. And who will walk out as the teacher? Who will walk out as a student? Oh, HasuObs, you sneaky devil, you. As it looks like he is going to drop a proxy pylon in the northwest of... Oh, wait, my bad. I'm just an idiot, and I was I was just backwards. And my bad. No, just rewind, erase. I saw HuK's probe, and I'm like, dude, you didn't see it. My bad. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here, carrying on, but it does look like, once again, HuK's Cybernetics core is delayed. That is, of course, because he's getting that Zealot once again, so he definitely really seems to like this, which it is honestly surprising to me, because in this matchup, you tend to want to get your Warp Gate technology as early as possible, especially if your opponent's doing an all-in Warp Gate rush. You need those units as fast as possible. I mean, there's going to be proxy pylons, which means that their army will be inside your base as quickly as it possibly can in any other matchup. So we do have the probe for Hasu in the bottom right side. We'll see if he's going to go ahead and try and set up a pylon inside HuK's base. But this is a very tense moment. Both players are trying to size up what the other one is doing. And we do have a third gateway on the way for Hasu as well. And HuK actually doesn't have anything. He does have his second gas on the way. Just now getting that second gateway.
Yeah, and after making a mistake like that, I will seriously give Hasu a big hug if he does manage to put that proxy pylon in HuK's base, because that would be even funnier. So we do have a probe now making his way over. HasuObs is going to be found by Liquid HuK Zealot, and I think that's one of the reasons he likes to get it out. He gets that a little additional scouting. HuK's going to try to sneak a probe up here into the base. He does manage to see a little bit, but it's not going to give away too much. Actually, he did not even see those 2 additional gateways, and the 4th one joining it right there. And oh my god, there is a proxy pylon, and this time, Husky, it is in the right base. I'm not seeing things. This is actually happening.
Yeah, I think that HuK may be in a lot of trouble here. He is getting his warp gates right now, and he does have a robotics bay on the way. If he can hold off long enough to get 1 immortal, he will be okay, but Hasu able to put these units inside HuK's base. Very surprising that HuK does not have this location of his base scouted, and if he gets a sandwich attack, this could be very difficult for HuK to hold. You can see HuK does have a force field ready at his ramp. That's what he's hoping for, is to hold it off via force field while he gets his tech structure out. Now his robotics is almost done. Is he going to go for an immortal, or is he going to go for the more standard observer? It could spell disaster if he does go for that observer, because there's nothing to see, because the units are going to be in his base right away. I can't wait to see if he's going to get an immortal out or not, as it is just sitting here. An observer has not been started, so this is a very tense moment. It is an immortal, so can he actually get that out? The attack is going to commence right now. HuK is going to get sandwiched. He still does force field the ramp, preventing any reinforcements, but this is 4 stalkers versus 4 stalkers and 4 zealots. this could spell disaster for HuK right now. He's actually going to GG and leave the game at the 7-minute mark. He did not find that pylon. He is probably kicking himself. I think a huge fan favorite and even a favorite to make it to the finals of this tournament, getting eliminated by HasuObs. Got it to hand it to Hasu, though, able to dethrone HuK in this series. My mind equals blown right now.
Husky, I'm sitting on the other side here, and I made probably one of the most common mistakes that you can make as a caster, thinking I'm seeing something happening in a base that's actually not his base. In that case, the pylon went down there because that's a great place for a proxy pylon to go. And in Hasu's case, he was making sure nothing could go there. So almost just completely mind-blowing to me that Hasu ends up doing the exact same thing on HuK's side of the base. And I swear to God, I had not seen this. I did not know the results. It was just totally the most obscene coincidence that I had a bad call, and it ended up being the way that Hasu won the matchup. That's absolutely insane. But more so, the legions of HuK fans right now that are going, that just happened. You talk about, Husky, how much you like Protoss versus Protoss, and that is just one of the cold, hard facts that when you play versus another Protoss, you can run into something like that. The game can be over as quickly as it began.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like this matchup. I think it's one of the least favorite matchups out there, and this is probably part of the reason why is that if you're able to sneak that pylon in like we just saw, it instantly turns that game into your favor. It's very important to note that HuK went for the early sentry because his entire game plan was block off the ramp against that 4-gate and then use the force field to delay any sort of rush and until he could get out at least 2 Immortals to push out. Because if you're going against a 4-gate with 2 Immortals in your army and you have 3 gates, then your army all of a sudden becomes much more powerful. You have the tech advantage, and then you can also follow it up with observers, and you can follow it up with tons of different things there. So HuK, I think if he was in the game for about 60 to 70 more seconds, he would have been in a good position to actually hold this. But since Hasu came knocking at his door, this is why you always scout the entirety of your base. I do still have the replay open, and Hasu did have a pylon in that same location in his own base, forcing HuK to put a proxy pylon in the center of the map rather than in his opponent's base. So again, gotta hand it to Hasu. Tons of mind games going off there, and he was able to take that. So we are going to gear up for our next match here, but I still can't believe, DJ, that basically HuK got knocked out by HasuObs. Not to take anything away from Hasu, I just think if you look at the voting and all of that, that people had expected HuK to basically take this. So he did lose 2-1, taking that one game and almost coming back. But this last game, not the most satisfying end to an epic Protoss versus Protoss. But that's just kind of how StarCraft 2 is. You can lose at any stage of the game, which means you have to stay on top of the game the entire time.
Yeah, and I would just throw out a couple other things. I saw some, I wouldn't call it HasuObs hate, Husky. I would just kind of maybe HasuObs sort of not giving him any sort of credit at all. And I saw someone on Twitter say, haven't seen HasuObs play in a while. Wonder if his macro still sucks. And you know what? It's comments like that make you just kind of go, oh, wow. Well, he played pretty well. I guess there you can see his macro in full display. But certainly in the round of 32 upsets, if we were to consider where were the biggest upset potentials right here, I don't know that people would have expected HuK to be upset here, and he will be stopped short in the round of 32 of the PokerStrategy.com TSL3. I'm absolutely I'm blown away. That whole game was crazy. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, there have been upsets already in this tournament. I think we just witnessed another one. Probably not the hugest upset we will see progressing forward. So it looks like we are going to take a super quick break. I have to run to the bathroom because I am only human. I am not an android, unfortunately, at least not yet. So we are going to go ahead and take a quick break. I may be gone for just a minute, so hopefully you guys don't start without me. And we are going to move on to the 4th series today. Unfortunately, it is the last series for today, which I'm sad. I wish I could cast the entire tournament right now because so far the games have been outstanding. Very exciting stuff. It is going to be Liquid Jinro versus Mouse Maro, which will be a Terran versus Zerg, but I am going to run to the little boy's room.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the opening weekend. It's day 2 of the PokerStrategy.com TSL3. We are about to enter into our 4th and final game. I'm DJ Wheat. Joining me is Husky. And Husky, I got to say, I've had a great time today. Some great games. Really enjoy casting with you. And I just want to give a shout out here to Mouth662 on Twitter because I think this is pretty amazing, right? So HasuObs just won over HuK. And I have actually circled the wrong one over here. So HasuObs wins 2-1 to HuK, and still HasuObs will not give any sort of credit deserved. He says, okay, Wheat, stop talking out your ass. LOL, how good HasuObs is. It's PvP, by far HuK's worst matchup, and it comes to retard 4 gates. And with that, I just want to say, I love how loyal the StarCraft 2 community will be because that guy will go down in flames with HuK in round of 32 of the TSL3. And, how far will HasuObs make? I have no idea, but he did win 2-1. Certainly an upset in my book. I don't know. Some people are disagreeing. They felt like HasuObs could take that one, but amazing results so far here in day 2. Husky, what do you think?
I am freaking out, man. I am saddened and yet super excited that we are going to be on the last series. Again, it is going to be Jinro and Morrow, but before we get to that, again, I know we've said it time and time again, but it was a pretty big upset, and it is Protoss versus Protoss, which can be a little fickle back and forth,
yeah.
But at the same time, HuK did not scout that in his base. So... and also the winner of this next match is going to be the one who plays Hasu in the upcoming series. So if it's Jinro or Morrow, that is going to be who goes against Hasu. But I do want to go back to that HuK, he showed amazing game sense in game number 2. I mean, if you watch that replay, his timing on the macro and his timing on the attack was perfect. His micro was top-notch. He definitely deserved that win in game 2. But in game 3, just such a minor thing can end up costing you a game, and that's in any matchup, whether or not it is Protoss versus Protoss or any other matchup. If you're not scouting your base for drops, you're not scouting your opponent for what tech they're going, I mean, that's exactly what can happen. He didn't spot that proxy pylon, which the positioning of that pylon is so obvious. It's such a good place to put the pylon that I'm surprised that, considering HuK was playing a turtle style where he was going to rely on getting out immortals and then moving out, I'm really surprised he didn't take the time to scout the rest of his base. And I believe, I'll have to double check the replay, but it may have been a second probe that Hasu sent down. And so HuK, while he cleaned out that first probe, he thought that, well, there's no way it's in here. And so if that is what happened, then that does show Hasu thinking this through and really planning it out. It's not just completely getting lucky that HuK didn't scout it. So haters are going to hate, man. No matter how good you are, people will always hate you. And it's an upset, so people are going to smack talk him. But you know what? He can laugh all the way into the next round. And so we'll see how he does, though, in the next series.
Yeah, and we're going to find out who his opponent will be in the round of 16 as we come up to our 4th and final match of the day for the PokerStrategy.com TSL3 opening weekend. It's day 2, and it is now time for TLAF Liquid Jinro, our Terran player, to take on Mouz Morrow, our Zerg player. And I got to tell you, this last match is a treat in itself. I'm a big fan of the TVZ matchup. I think these are 2 incredible players right now. Jinro obviously showing a huge presence in Korea. Code S round of 4 twice. He kicked off his winning career with MLG Nationals 2010, where he took first place in that. Wow, really? I didn't know this. Jinro has 30,000 posts on Team Liquid. And that directly translates to StarCraft 2 skill, so you better pay attention to that. And this is a Swedish matchup here as he's going up against Morrow. Husky, give me your thoughts on this guy. He was originally a Terran player. He got so much crap when he said he was switching to Z, and I will never forget those threads in my whole life where people are like, ladies and gentlemen, I've done an analysis of the last 32 games that Morrow has played as Zerg, and as you can see, he lost them all, and he sucks, and he will never be good. And here he is now proving all those haters wrong. You said haters are going to hate, but you know what? Players are going to make haters hate even hard. And Morrow, I just think this is such a treat, Husky.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. It is good to see players switch it up in their races. I mean, he did play Terran in Brood War, and so we did see a lot of players switch come StarCraft 2. I mean, we saw Artosis, Idra, even In Control. I mean, a lot of these players did switch at the release of StarCraft 2, but very rarely will you see someone go for a while and then switch, because then you're really at a disadvantage because you haven't been practicing that race as long as everyone else has. So I'm very curious to see how well he performs in this tournament, seeing as how he now plays Zerg. He is known for a macro style of play, so we'll see if he can stand up against Jinro. I know you already said this, but it is so important to emphasize top 4 twice in the GSL. Very few players, if any, aside from MC, have actually been able to do that. It says leagues and legends and volumes, I don't even know, about how strong Jinro is. I think that Jinro has been so powerful in StarCraft 2, much more powerful than he was in the Brood War days. So I don't know who to root for. There's a player who has switched races. The only other player I can think of off the top of my head that does that is the little one, and a lot of respect for him as well. So I don't know who to root for. This is going to be interesting. I will say that just based on performance alone, I think that Jinro is going to be the fan favorite here, because anyone who does that good in the GSL probably not going to drop the ball in a prestigious tournament like the TSL3. So it's going to be up tomorrow to just kind of rely on the macro that he's known for to try and dethrone Jinro. I think, though, Jinro's the one to look out for.
And, you know, the only other thing I would add to that, Husky, is I really honestly believe, I think Moro enjoys being the underdogs in these situations. You know, if he can have that opportunity to climb out of the pits and defeat his opponent, I think that is not, you know, that is a complete win for Moro. We've seen him kind of talk about that a little bit in his interviews, how he approaches a lot of these games, where Jinro is just like cool as ice. I love that guy. So I just think this is an amazing matchup. And, you know, let's not jabber any longer. Let's jump right into things as we get ready for the 4th matchup of the day. This is the last one of the weekend for the round of 32 for the opening weekend of the PokerStrategy.com TSL3. Coming up next, game 1, Liquid Jinro versus mouz Moro.